me say a healthy good morning to those of you listening to Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9 on the FM dial. Those of you viewing us via GBN TV, whether it's Channel 7, Channel 11, or Channel 20, good morning. What about those of you via our social media platforms? Good morning and welcome. It's Friday, the 26th of July, and it's to the point. I'm your host, GT, and my guest this morning from the Grenada Cultural Foundation. And let me see if I can get the names. You know, folks, you know I'm bad with names, eh? I'm really bad with this. So I think we have Donnalyn Watson Henry. Am I right about Donnalyn Watson Henry? All right. Forgive me. Donnalyn Watson Henry. And she's the project officer. Yeah. Let me say good morning also to Ms. Jackie Alexis. She's the CEO. Am I right? Acting CEO.
Oh, don't forget
All right. All right. Good morning to both of you and welcome.
Thank you.
How's everybody this morning?
Good.
We're good.
I'm tired.
Energized. I am energized.
I'm tired from last night.
Is it? Oh, you've been to the Sokamonic semis? All that. All right. So that's understandable. That's understandable.
I took the package.
Our conversation this morning will focus mainly around emancipation celebrations that is coming up. It's another year again. And Emancipation 2024. Let's start a conversation this morning. The celebrations, the theme. Who will give me the of course the meaning of the theme? If I could ask that question, and I think I'll lead up to Donnalyn as she's smiling away with that already. So let's get some information rolling off of that. Let's just explain the theme for me this morning.
The theme, in the spirit of emancipation, we embrace our African identity through our cultural expressions.
Repeat that to me again. In the same manner.
Spirit of emancipation, we embrace our African identity through our cultural expressions.
Right.
And I love the theme. I love the theme because we speak with our hands.
Yes.
We express ourselves through our body language, besides the speech patterns. I mean, we cannot open our mouths and say something, but you know what we just said.
Yes.
Right? And
leave it for our typical Grenadian.
Right. And our ancestors has passed so many traditions down to us, and we do not place emphasis on it. Yeah. Recently, we concluded, we had a panel discussion, and I remember one of the panelists referred to our cultural expressions, what was handed down to us as A.
Yes.
We know it's there, but we don't pay attention to it. And when it's not there, that's when it becomes important to us. So when we have lost our cultural identity, when we are no longer expressing ourselves based on what was handed down, when we mimic our North American culture, we are at risk of losing our African identity. And when she said A, I remember the host was A. And she said yes. Is A, because we know we need it. It's there. But unless we don't have it, is when it becomes important to us.
And I probably would fit in by saying, though, when you say air, we need the air. You understand? And I understand how she's trying to create the analogy for it. But it's like something that we have that we're not making use of in a simple way.
That too.
You know?
When you expound on it, it is true. We have so many cultural expressions that we can package. You know, another thought that came is the use of social media. How are we using social media to propel our cultural expressions, or to get our cultural expressions, to get our cultural identity, so that, you know, the persons on the platforms can see what we are about, as opposed to just assuming, you know, that, this person speaks this way, so they're not Grenadian. No.
I mean, there's something unique about us as Grenadian. Eh? Very unique. A lot of us, as being Grenadian or something, may not see it in a simple way of saying or know about it. There's just something very specific about us and unique about us individually. And sometimes if we really put the importance, feeling into it, we could make a big difference about ourselves as people. You know, and I think that's one of the niches, and especially the younger generations now, they don't seem to drive into that at all. that uniqueness about us as a Grenadian.
We don't want to be different. So, what about daring to be different? Yeah. Jab is our thing. Yeah. But I remember having a conversation. I played traditional mass last year, Veco to be exact.
Yeah.
And the amount of persons on the Tuesday who were in their fancy mass costumes wanted to take pictures of us because we were different. Yes. We dared to be different, and we were selling, or we were allowing the spectators to see, the masqueraders to see that it's not about jab and the fancy mass. We have the Veco, we have the Shotney, we have the Juju Warriors, we have the Mud Mass, we have the Wild Indians, we have, the list is very, very long. It's an intensive list.
And the question could be asked, why have we allowed it to deteriorate to that point?
Okay, well, let's just switch.
I don't know if we could quite answer that.
It's not a serious diversion, but sometimes it needs to be pondered on.
No, it's not a serious diversion.
No, it isn't.
Because it's carnival and it's all part of our culture.
It is, and emancipation. And there's a distinct link between emancipation and carnival.
Yes.
There is a link.
Because one goes from one to the next.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
The jab is the biggest thing in
right?
that as well. So.
And when you listen to the calypso was social commentary.
Yes.
You talk about all the issues that you are having on the plantation, especially when Massa says, don't blow them shells and don't beat them drums.
Yeah.
And then the chants, the importance of the chants in the traditional mass.
It all speaks of our history.
It
from where we started
It
to where we are.
It does. Our cultural expressions.
We've just become very westernized. We've become very. It's all very materialistic.
Yeah.
And
there's a saying that sometimes we cannot go back there. What's in the past. Some folks will say, but sometimes you have to know your past in order to
go forward. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Tell us, Emancipation Celebrations 2024. What is going to be so unique about it this year? If anyone can describe it in that way.
Well, first of all, I think it's important for us to recognise that emancipation seems to be getting lost in Carnival. And I think this year what we want to try and do is to bring it back to the fore.
Yes.
Yes, Carnival is our thing and it's important to us. But emancipation also has its place. And I guess because it comes right in the middle of all these shows and stuff, it tends to get lost. So we want to ensure that we bring that awareness back.
Yes.
And that we celebrate the importance of it. We started, Donnalyn just mentioned the panel discussion. We actually had a pre-recorded panel discussion done earlier this week with some young people. And I think we deliberately looked at having young people because we want to pass on that information. We want that to be able to move forward. And if we don't teach our young people, when the rest of us older generation dies out, who's going to carry that torch? Who's going to continue having those conversations and keeping that momentum alive? So we deliberately had the panel discussion with young people. It was recorded by GIS, so they're going to be airing it starting on Sunday, the 28th, so that we're moving right into next week onto the 1st. And then the 1st, of course, the big day, the Thursday, the 1st of August is Emancipation Day. And that has been announced as African Wear Day.
Yeah.
So we are asking everyone to come out in their African wear. We're asking the business community, we're asking the ministries, government offices, statutory bodies, encourage your employees to wear their African outfits and come out and join us. As we march from the carronage by the public library onto the Market Square. Okay. And when we get to the Market Square, we will hold a short ceremony. Okay. I'm literally from 11 to 1. So by the time we march from the carronage onto the Market Square, we will hold a short ceremony with some spiritual songs, some prayers, and then the reading of the proclamation.
Okay.
And that's the morning session for us. This year we're starting on the Carronage. Last year we did it from Melville Street Barracks.
Yes, because I was going to ask that question because I know that's usually one of the route that they usually take for the emancipation.
Yes. Right. So this is deliberate.
Yes.
Because actually the Carronage has far more significance in that it was where the boats came in with the enslaved and where they were sold from, basically. So that's where the ships came in. So we decided that we wanted to, again, mark what is the truth, so to speak, and start from the Carronage and move. I mean, we would have liked to have had the whole Carronage and just closed the whole place off and done everything right there. But as you can imagine, on a weekday, that's not necessarily the easiest thing to do. One year we'll do it. Maybe for the 200th anniversary, you might just block off the whole Carronage, and
would be nice.
Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be spectacular? Nice. So that's a vision for the future. But for this year, we'll march from the Carronage. We'll go on to the Market Square, and we'll have the short ceremony there. And then later in the day, we're actually, I don't know if you're aware or if your viewers are aware, we're now based at the Spice Basket.
Yes.
So that's where Cultural Foundation is now based, which is wonderful because it means we have a space right there where we can have events and activities and so on. So
the showcase more
exactly. Yes, have that environment. It's really quite it's quite special to have that. So we will be holding another event, a cultural event there, from 5 p.m.
Yes.
And this will include a dramatization of reenactment of the reading of the proclamation, which is we've got some actors who are going to be doing a dramatization of that. There'll be some spoken word poetry, obviously the usual remarks and so on. But we also have the feature speaker, which is Dr. Curtis Jacobs, who will be doing the feature remarks. And so that's, again, it's another way for us to lift the whole day.
All right.
And in addition to the African wear, we're also having a little competition. I say little deliberately because it's only being held through social media.
Yes.
So we're asking members of the public, dress up in your African wear, get your friends to take pictures of you, post it on the Grenada Cultural Foundation Facebook page.
All right.
And then get your friends to like it. And the person who gets the most likes for their outfit will get a gift.
Yeah, I could probably like myself a like.
Get your friends to, we just thought, just another way to kind of get people
re-energizing,
to be involved.
And get the folks more
involvement going.
Understandably so.
So we're very excited by the whole thing because, again, this is something we do every year. Emancipation is something we do every year, but we really want to push it this year, push towards the 200th and the big thing.
All right. Okay, so I understand. We drew for a break. Let's take it. We come back and we continue the discussion. Stay with us, folks. It's To The Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. It's To The Point. We'll be right back. Don't touch your dial.
Grenada Cultural Foundation, in collaboration with the St. Andrews Development Organization, SEDU, the Grenada National Reparations Committee, GNRC, and Timber will commemorate Emancipation Day 2024 under the theme, In the Spirit of Emancipation, we embrace our African identity through our cultural expressions. Are you ready to celebrate Grenada's rich cultural heritage and history of resilience? Then look out for the televised panel discussion on July 28th. Proudly don your African wear on August 1st and join the Liberation and Ancestral Freedom March from the Old Public Library to the Market Square starting at 11 a.m. Then we complete the day at the Spice Baskets and witness the reenactments of the proclamation together with our cultural presentations. And finally, look out for the continuation of the activities in Grenville on August 5th with a parade from Pearls to Grenville at 3 p.m. and the Flambeau Walk from Canal Road at 6:30 p.m. Mark your calendars and get ready to join us in celebrating Grenada's emancipation with pride and joy. See you there.
Fly the Jones, Switch, it's Lava Man. It's all about spice up the Carnage Soca Mona competition. It starts on the 26th of July. It's going to go on to the 2nd of August, then the 9th for the finals. I will be the host. Fly the Jones, Switch. Get there, see you there, be there. Nothing but vibes. Real mashup, yeah? Mad.
Get the kids together. Get them dressed. We're heading out to total fun and excitement. It's Uncle Talbrig Kids Fest, Saturday, 27th July. More rides, more slides, more go-kart, more horseback riding, more games, more bouncy castle, and much more face painting. And all rides are free. That's right. All rides are free. Just get the kids in. Plus, much more cartoon characters. All the kids' favorite Grenadian superstars will be there. Live. Talbrig, Baby Bree, Lava Man, Boise, Wasway, Dash, Temptress, Superfly and Flint, Little Cello, Muddy and Squeezed, Soca Jeff, and more. Saturday, 27th July, Monroe's Playing Field, 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. Admission adults, $20. Children, pay $10. It's their special occasion. Uncle Talbrig's Kids Fest 2024. It's gonna be bigger and better. I am the
Welcome back, listeners, once again. Welcome back, viewers. Welcome back to my guest this morning. It's To The Point. And we're talking emancipation this morning, folks. And, well, of course, Mr. Alexis spoke a whole lot about what some of the activities that will be taking place in the parish of St. George. Now we go to St. Andrew. And, of course, that's what Donnalyn is going to speak a wee bit about as relation to the activities of there. Tell us what's been taking place, especially within the parish of St. Andrew, in terms of the emancipation celebrations.
Okay, from August 4th, there's a church service at the Holy Innocent Anglican Church. On the 4th as well, there will be an exhibition, photo booth, kids village, street fiesta, and those types of activities is what is going to be happening. Well, it's the weekend. Yes. Right? August 5th, we have a traditional mass parade, and that is, Sedu is collaborating with Timber, and Timber is the traditional individual mass band association. It's a recently formed mass band association, and the focus is mass band, traditional mass band.
Not the fancy stuff.
Not the fancy stuff.
All right.
They need a voice, and they are getting that voice. So what is going to happen is on August 5th, the traditional mass bands would showcase they will do their portrayal, their theater style portrayal. Okay. And that is happening from Pearls to Grenville.
Okay.
Right? Once they get to Grenville, they will be like around 6 o'clock in the evening. So that activity starts at 3.
Yes.
Right? So once they get to Grenville, those who are fit enough, along with other members of the public and SEDU, they will go to Canal Road. So from Canal Road to Grenville, they would have their traditional Freedom Flambeau March.
Kind of like the route, huh?
That's okay. There's a rest in between. Use Grenville. You could have a little bit.
Yeah,
of a rest
you could rest a little bit. Yeah, but what is happening is that they will be continuously things will be happening in Grenville. Okay, you know. So and then you would obviously find the traditional foods and so forth. Grenville. I mean, I'm picturing the streets now with the bamboo along the streets by courts there, and the flambeaux and stuff. So I know Ryan, Akeda, and the team is excited about what is going to be happening up there. And
remember, of course, this all collides with Rainbow City.
With Rainbow City
So-
weekend.
I was going to ask, because usually there are various organizations within the St. Andrew that usually would take care of that.
Yes.
But I'm understanding the Cultural Foundation, they of course, is the head of the organizations.
Yes.
Of those organizations.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right, all right.
So we do work in collaboration with them. We do have a wonderful working relationship with SEDU. So they would share their activities with us, and then we would put it out there to the public.
Okay.
You know, so we do have a wonderful working relationship with them.
All right. Now, my question again. We spoke of St. George. We spoke of St. Andrew. Why are we not seeing more of emancipation celebrations spread around the island? What has to be done to get the various organizations and the various other parishes? Of course, yes, St. George's have it taken care of, St. Andrew have it taken care of. St. Patrick, there's loads of history of there also. St. Mark, St. John, even St. David. What have you done?
What has been happening in the past is that most of those activities are centered around the church.
Yeah.
So you find the churches within those communities, they would hold a special emancipation service. And that is something that we would like to encourage them to continue doing. You know, you have the Roxborough Church in St. Paul's where they would have their parishioners wear their traditional African wear the last Sunday before emancipation. Or some churches, one of the things that we are encouraging is the last Sunday before emancipation or the first Sunday after emancipation, depending on how it falls. But one of the challenges that we face is manpower, finance. You know, and there we have lost our give back community spirit. We no longer want to give back. We always want to
Be paid for.
Yeah, and we don't have the have the resources. And then most of those parish-based parish-based organization, what you find happening is that, for instance, and I'm using these. You know, what comes to mind? For example, St. Patrick's Organization for Development. Their responsibility really is they center their activities mainly around St. Patrick's Day, and that's depending on the calendar. It could fall late February, early March.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, the 17th of March, I think, 17th, 18th of March. So, and then what happens? This year especially, a lot of things almost got lost because we were celebrating the 50th. So it's difficult for them when you have persons who are volunteering. So they've already signed up for 17th of March.
Yes.
St. David's as well. They've signed up for their St. Mark. They have signed up. So what we can ask them to do without putting much financial burden on them is to just have a church service or just do something special within your church or within your community just to commemorate the day. Or the Sunday before or after. So those are some of the challenges that we face.
But one of the Cultural Foundation's mandates is to work closely with parish organisations to try and help them to develop, to try and help them to grow, and to help guide them in how they could improve activities in their community and so on. And this is something that's an ongoing thing.
But are you given the opportunity to meet with those parish-based organizations?
They've already begun to do that.
So, what you find happening, and I can speak to both St. Mark, St. John, and Grenville. They have shifted so that throughout the year you find they would have developmental programs. So they're going to have workshops and stuff for members of the community through different funding agencies. Once we get wind of an organization who's willing to support this initiative, we would forward it to them, and they would take the responsibility of putting it together. So for instance, 29 June, while it did not happen, most of the activities were cancelled because of the hurricane. What you saw happening is that they had food handlers workshops.
Yes.
They had health fairs. They had all sorts of different activities leading up to their main activities. Another thing, SEDU, for instance, SEDU has quite a number of workshops. So for their festival, they would say, okay, this year we would do Munich. So they would identify persons within the community to do educational programs. I remember one year they had tourists as the person who makes firing within the community. So she did a series of ads, and they partnered with Grenada Tourism Authority. So they are working. We may not see results right now, but I can tell you that they are doing things to ensure that, you know, the community becomes involved, the community benefits in whatever it is that they're doing. For instance, we had St. Mark, through a funding agency, they were able to erect some bathrooms around Hero Square. That was one of their initiatives. So they are working, they are ensuring that the community benefits from almost all of the projects that they're doing. St. Mark's also has the food festival once a month. That is a part of the St. Mark Organization for Development, under the leadership of Mr. Raymond Batiste.
You know, you said something that sort of tickled my mind a little bit to ask a question. You said, you know, we're going to see results. It's been 50 years of independence. And, you know, it's why, you know, I just have to go. You know, we from here to here, we always say these organizations are doing things, but then we're going to see results. I think it's something we should be seeing more happening in terms of, especially when it comes to emancipation. It seems to be just a little thing that is happening for a month of years that it's been happening. You understand? It's just a little thing, and you know, yes, the St. George's, St. Andrew, as you said, would have their activities that would make Emancipation Day, and then that's it. You know,
the Cultural Foundation is committed now to working closely, much more closely with parish organisations, and encouraging the local community to be more involved in activities.
Is it a lack of volunteerism?
I think there is a lack of there is a lack of energy around these things, and somehow we have to now help the parish organisations and community groups to push for that.
Well, what was that year-round push? However, the consideration have been thought of given to that year-round push. Talk more about it all year round.
Well, exactly, and that's the point. It's so that there are more things happening on a regular basis throughout
and those
the year.
were some of the ideas that we pulled from the panel discussion, and having conversations. I mean, I came from the panel discussion, walking straight into Miss Alexis' office, saying, "Hey, we can do this. We can have these 5-minute programs, 2-minute program where we sensitize the public because we have the information. The foundation has the information.
Like this comes about, where you could come on to the point on a regular.
Exactly.
Listen, before the panel discussion, I gave our panelists copies of the proclamation, and I remember looking at the emotions on their faces when they were reading, and it's like, how dare you tell me I have to be grateful? You took me away from what I know. And you're telling me that I should be grateful that you're now freeing me.
It's quite. Have you read the proclamation?
I have never read.
No, you should read it.
And I mean, I'm looking at you having it there, and I was really going to say, let me take a break. I want us to take a break first, and after the break, we're probably going to talk about it a little bit. I want to talk about emancipation as a whole. One of the main reasons why we do have to put the emphasis on it as we're doing now when we come back from the break. Okay. All right. Stay with us, folks. It's To The Point here, Classic Radio, GBN TV. And as the morning progresses, folks, don't forget you also have the opportunity to call in. If you do have a question or two that you may want to ask the panelists, feel free to do so in the next segment. Stay with us, folks. Don't touch your dial.
We all got our families to protect, and it means that we got to protect our communities. Let's stop the gun violence. The amnesty expires on July 30th. The truth is, we all tend to suffer. No one gains, we all lose. The families are affected, churches are affected, communities are affected. Let us put on the guns and the weapons. Let us unite. Let us build a better Grenada. I am Dillon Felix, Barcelona Olympia 1992. Peace out.
The gun amnesty remains in effect until July 30th. A message from the Ministry of National Security.
Last day I had a dream. It was a scary scene. A dream of soca monarch. Watch how the place mash up from front to back. Whoa, last day I dream. Soca monarch will never be the same. I say a dream. After last day I coming back again. Tell them a dream that people will be shouting out my name. I say a dream. Soca monarch. Last day I take us something and show me. Of course, right now, my name is Shamak. I want to say thank you so much to each and every one of you outside here for the support, for the continuous love from since last year to this year. Thank you so much to GBN. Again, just want to say to look out for Shamak in Groovy semi-finals, in Power Soca Monarch semi-finals, and most importantly, GBN Spice of the Carnaval Soca Monarch. I definitely will be there as well, performing beautiful song, Dream. So look out for you guys there for the support. Thank you so much, Shamak.
Experience the heart and soul of Spice Mass at the Glen Traditional Mass Festival on Saturday, July 27th at Hero Square, Victoria in St. Mark. Join us from 3 p.m. and witness the spectacular cultural display of the various traditional mass bands such as Feko, Shortney, Wild India, Jab Jab, and Maypole dancers with vibrant costumes, infectious music, and unforgettable cultural tradition. Bring your family and friends to enjoy an afternoon filled with excitement and heritage. Your presence is not just a visit, but a contribution to the preservation of our rich Grenadian culture. The Traditional Mass Festival, commencing 3 p.m. Hero Square, St. Mark. See you there. Saturday, 27 July. This event is sponsored by Glen.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. To the point here, Classic Radio, GBN TV. Welcome back once again to my guest from the Grenada Cultural Foundation. We're talking emancipation. My guest, welcome back once again. Before we wrapped up, we were talking about the Emancipation Proclamation, the act, as you would want to refer to it. And you talk, and of course, Donnalyn was talking about, it being part of the. Was it the panel discussion and so forth that you have, and folks were able to they had the opportunity to read it, and how the expression that came from some individuals when they read it and said, hey, kind of brings back the feeling that our parents may have had in terms of what the reasons that we had to get emancipated or get that freedom that we are getting now. No, you understand? Read that part of it for me. Let me see if I could get that feeling too. Let me see if I could get that feeling or parts of it that could probably bring that feeling to me. For some reason, or maybe for our listeners and viewers out there this morning who are listening, who may have a lot of knowledge. There are a lot of listeners and viewers out there who may have a lot of knowledge about this, even more than me, ourselves being here. You understand? But let's hear from the act. If you could read a bit.
It's a very interesting document actually, because it's one of those things where it can make you very angry when you read it. And we're not going to read the whole thing, but we're just going to read this small section that speaks to the former slaves. And it says, "You who have been slaves and lately acting as apprentices are by this decision made absolutely and unconditionally free. I trust you will show your gratitude to that nation which has made such great personal and pecuniary sacrifices to ensure your freedom by your loyalty to your common monarch." I mean, like, hello? So I should be grateful that you have, after you dragged me from my country, brought me here, enslaved me, I should now be grateful that you've made me free. And that's the kind of thing that we cannot forget this. This is why we have the GNRC, the Reparations Committee, who are obviously seeking the reparations from those that enslaved us, and we cannot allow this to be forgotten. We cannot allow this. This is our history, this is our heritage, and we cannot allow it to be forgotten.
Why is it so important for us to put a lot of emphasis into the day, Emancipation Day. Who could answer that for me? From your personal perspective on it.
We don't want to forget. We don't want to forget. I was too young to understand the revolution.
Yes.
And nobody talks about it. I don't know what happened. And the persons who are closest to me don't want to talk about it. And I understand it's traumatizing. I'm pulling a lot of things from all of that. However, this we cannot forget this. We cannot forget this. And the onus is on us to remember.
Yes.
We are descendants of slaves. They left us with a lot of they passed down a lot of customs, of practices to us. Some good, some bad, some not so, some okay.
Some we don't even understand.
Right. But when you talk about lifestyle diseases, when you talk about our family, the family structure, when you look within a community, what we say, he's a village ram. He's not a village ram. That trauma is passed down. So what you find happening is this one man have multiple children in a community, and the women were okay with it. They were not really okay with it, But on the plantation, what happened? If this enslaved person was of good stock, his job was to breed and ensure that the plantation is successful.
And maybe not even something he wanted to do on a personal.
He didn't want to do it. And some of the things that we doing where we wear our pants,
that's a different story.
Listen to me. These were this was a form of punishment. You were.
We do have a caller. Maybe the caller may want to chime in on the conversation this morning. Caller, good morning and welcome. Let's hear from you. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. Let's hear from you.
Listening to this presentation this morning, the discussion, and I'm trying to figure out why on earth do I want to continue to be traumatized by remembering what my foreparents would have gone through. I mean, there's no need for this whole charade every year to be doing this nonsense. We need to forget what our foreparents went through. Why should we relive that? Why should we bring that back to people's memory? We also have to remember that our foreparents were sold by other Africans. The white man didn't go into Africa and take slaves, They were sold by other Africans. So we need to stop the charade.
Well, the caller may have left. The caller may have left us already. I understand where the caller is coming from.
Yeah, I totally understand. Yes.
He's entitled to
I don't agree because in order for us to move forward, we have to remember why we want to move forward.
But that also goes back to what we were saying about the revolution as well. If you're going to say forget emancipation, are we going to also say forget the revolution?
You can say forget independence.
This is our history. So we can't forget it. And maybe at some point in the future we won't be celebrating it every year. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it should never be forgotten. It should be archived. It should be remembered.
Yeah.
All right. We do have another caller. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. GT, for having me, and thank you to the host also, and to the guests also. I appreciate you educating us on regarding emancipation, and thanks for all the education. My question to you is, one singer, I don't recall the name, said talk about emancipating ourselves from mental slavery. No one but ourselves can free ourselves. And will that be a component of the emancipation celebration? Will there be, educational program about how we do that? Because we all know that we are no longer in physical bondage per se, and we are not forced to work on plantations as our foreparents did. but it's been over and over. We've been hearing about mental slavery, and I think that's something that will be important to be pointed out and to help the population in terms of how we can liberate ourselves from mental slavery. Thank you so much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. You want to respond to the caller?
Yeah, you talk about the mental slavery. I hope I'm not wrong to say this, but I believe by talking about it, by persons giving their experiences, their grandparents' experiences, that might assist with breaking the cycle, assisting us in accepting what happened, living through some of the traumas that has been handed down to us, because I remember the licks we used to get. Well, while it is that I deserve most of it, but you're beating the child until near death because you didn't want Massa to beat the child or take the child away from you. So all of that is mental slavery, because our parents used to really beat us bad. But by talking about it, by explaining what we lived through, that might assist us in breaking these cycles and coming to terms with what would have happened to our parents, what might have been happening to us, So I do appreciate what you said, and it's true. We need to break these cycles. Yeah.
Okay, good. We do have another caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Yes, good morning. I don't know if you hear in my background. I have the windward breeze is blowing very heavy. And as you know, we just suffered from Hurricane Beryl just the other day in the Caribbean. And that was one factor why we are where we are today, because it was not economically possible to sustain or maintain our economic gain when you're having the tropical winds blowing and causing hurricane. Now, the other previous caller that spoke about it was our own ancestor that enslaved our ancestors. But, in African tradition, we know nothing about chattel slavery. Yeah, so there's no way that our own ancestors could have sold our brothers and sisters into chattel slavery. They had no knowledge. For matter of fact, they couldn't even read or write the English language in order to sign declarations and treaty with the colonizer. So that's a trend in something which is called propaganda that has been alive for centuries and decades. So I must say the topic today is very invigorating, and continue what you're doing. And, there's a whole variety of righteous people out there, and we understand history, and we know that we cannot proceed in the future without knowing where we are coming from. Thank you very much.
Appreciate the caller. Appreciate your contribution, caller. Appreciate it a whole lot. And we do have another caller. Call seems to be coming a bit rapid in this segment. Caller, good morning via WhatsApp. Good morning.
Yeah, morning, GT, and morning to your guests. First of all, let me deal with the penultimate caller. This is a miseducated. I know you want to say what I want to say. The thing about it too, why you remove that thing to our ancestors? Ancestors did not sold us. Of course, in every situation, there are always collaborators. We cannot deny that's a human aspect. But let me come here. The fact that after 1983, when the imposed leaders was instructed to remove history as part of our way of part of our conditioning, this is one of the reasons why we experiencing what we're experiencing, the low, enthusiasm for anything to do with emancipation. And the other thing about it is that you just can't come around this August time talking. This has to be, through the year. We have to have conversation, the traumas that we have to overcome through the diet, and one of your host guests talk about the dietary problem we have with disease. This came from slavery. The food we were given, it is established. This is the thing we need to discuss. Why so much people have diabetes and hypertension? The other thing about it is that we say we are Christian, which I doubt. And in the Christian tradition, they say there's a part that says, remember, tell your children in the morning, tell your children in the night so that they do not forget. Why do we want to forget the so-called people who went through the Holocaust? They are reminded about it every year. It's how we do what we do. And the fact is that we are ashamed of ourselves. Why we still satanize our African traditions like the spiritual Baptist and Shango? We have confused, mix up people. Please, we have Christianity continue to confuse. Even something one of the scholars say that some of the events are mainly held around churches. We shouldn't have that. Africans should be doing the things for themselves, not waiting on those colonial churches. I'm very disturbed. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Passionate caller there.
You said a lot, and you hit a lot of nerves. You hit a lot of nerves. You are correct, because last year, one of the things that we introduced was the libation ceremony. Yeah. I did not understand what was taking place, but it was explained to me, and it hit home that this is what our ancestors knew. Yeah. You know, the wetting of the ground, and that you see that as part of the Saraka experience, the drumming and stuff. That is an integral part of our culture. You know, Massa didn't want us to beat the drums because messages were communicated. Yes. And we get that. So we had to evolve. We had to do other things to communicate with each other on the different plantations. So
I think sometimes we don't pay enough attention to the things that we're doing as a people. I mean, the whole Saraka thing and its relevance. You know, we just gone lime. Yeah. We go for the food.
Yeah.
But actually,
understanding the real purpose of why it's all that. It's lost. Let's entertain another caller before the break. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Yes, I'm glad I got through. Not to forget our history. We must know that it should not be happening again. We've found on reparation all the European countries, all the people who are enslaved and taken advantage of, build their economy, build their whole city on our sweat, blood, and tears. That's reparation. We must pound that all the way. Get it from all these Europeans that enslaved us. We should not forget. We should remember to listen. The serious thing is that get revenge. Get our money for reparation for everyone. Bye.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
Right.
I'm not sure how possible that will be, but the revenge part of it. But we're due for a break. Let's take that break. We're coming back, and of course, in our final segment. Stay with us, folks. To the Point Classic Radio.
Flatlands, Parkship, and
Fly the Jones, Switch, it's Lava Man, it's all about spice up the Carnage Soca Mona competition. It starts on the 26th of July, it's going to go on to the 2nd of August, then the 9th for the finals. I will be the host, Fly the Jones, Switch. Get there, see you there, be there, nothing but vibes. Real mashup, yeah? Mad.
Coming up, African emancipation celebrations build towards the big day. Crop Over rolls towards its own colorful conclusion. One of this region's top banks continues to demonstrate the power to make a difference. Welcome to another award-winning Home Away from Home. Caribbean athletes ready for the world. Souvenirs stitched from scratch. It's all next on this station.
The Grenada Cultural Foundation, in collaboration with the St. Andrews Development Organization, SEDU, the Grenada National Reparations Committee, GNRC, and Timber will commemorate Emancipation Day 2024 under the theme, In the Spirit of Emancipation, we embrace our African identity through our cultural expressions. Are you ready to celebrate Grenada's rich cultural heritage and history of resilience? Then look out for the televised panel discussion on July 28th. Proudly don your African wear on August 1st and join the Liberation and Ancestral Freedom March from the Old Public Library to the Market Square starting at 11 a.m. Then we complete the day at the Spice Baskets and witness the reenactments of the proclamation together with our cultural presentations. And finally, look out for the continuation of the activities in Grenville on August 5th with a parade from Pearls to Grenville at 3 p.m. and the Flambeau Walk Park from Canal Road at 6:30 p.m. Mark your calendars and get ready to join us in celebrating Grenada's emancipation with pride and joy. See you there.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to The Point Classic Radio, GBN TV. Good morning to those of you viewing and listening via our social media platforms. Once again, welcome back to our guests. We promise to take some more calls in this segment. Let's take another caller as we move on. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Telesford. You know, and to your guests, good morning. You know, Mr. Telesford, the saying that goes, "Let sleeping dogs lie." Why are you provoking the sleeping dog? Anyway, let's get a little serious. Very interesting conversation, and it stirs me up. But you see, I am convinced that today in this here country, our Grenadian people are not even aware of ourselves because of our poor knowledge of our history. This is a problem, and we let perversion and all sorts of whims and fancies by a whole load of hyper-academic pseudo-intellectual charlatans to pervert the history and keep us backward. Mr. Telesford, take a look at this. I would like us to understand the true meaning of the word liberation. The verb to liberate, the verb to emancipate, the verb to gain sovereignty, and to have the adjective part. Not adjective, what's the matter with John? The non-sovereignty and what is me. We're not aware of it. Just imagine in 2024, we're ruled by a king high and mighty, and our people see it as normal. Mr. Telesford, can we really be an emancipated people? Rhetorically, you don't have to answer. But keep on the conversation. But I hope we get into the matter, the meat of the matter. Get a little more serious. Get it into the school that we are ruled by a monarchy up to there. We have never been independent. And because of our poor knowledge of ourselves, we continue to make the same mistakes. Oh, no, I'm not vexed. It's just the passion in me on the subject matter. Because let me tell you, I will end by saying it. Oh, what a tangled web we weaved, because first we practice to deceive. That is the truth about Grenada. Hypocrisy. Being a DQ country, deceit, hypocrisy, injustice, corruption, and untrustworthiness. That is why we have nowhere to go until we reconstitute this nation. Have a nice day. Will you, Mr. Telesford?
Thank you, sir. Have a good day yourself, and best wishes. Mr. Rollover, of course, being passionate about it as always. We do have another caller before we get some closing contributions from you. Caller, good morning via WhatsApp. Good morning.
Morning. Good morning. Morning.
Yes, good morning. Let's hear your contribution, please.
My intake on emancipation. I think that during emancipation time like now, we should allow the people who keep the traditions that tie to emancipation to educate younger people about it than we use in academias, because the academia is only the book. Secondly, I don't take Mr. Roller's position about British and all them things. If my father was alive now, he'll be 110 years. And my mother will be 101 years. They told us that Emancipation Day was a carnival in Grenada, beside the pre-Lent carnival. And the favorite meat was pork. And you had calendar, drum dancing, salaka, and all those things. Now, there are villages in the outer parish that keep those cultures. But if we want to educate people about Emancipation Day, the media must let these people talk about it because they have the education. The education is not from the academics. If we want to keep our culture, and this is what the Jamaicans do, the Trinidadians do. If we continue like that, we're going to lose our culture. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Any response to the callers? We asked two callers which made interesting contributions. Any response to them, or just an agreement or disagreement?
I totally agree. One of the challenges that we have in terms of getting information to the schools, or I should say engaging the schools within the emancipation period, for lack of a better definition, is the August holiday. This year especially was very, very challenging for us to reach out to the schools. So in the past, we've reached out to, what do you call that? Summer schools.
Yes.
So we would want to take this opportunity now, using this platform, to encourage the summer schools to bring the children into the by the market square, have them march so that they can understand. We have these little cards that we give out. We call it slave cards. These slave cards specifically speaks to information, and this is true and accurate information that came from the museum with through an initiative of Angus Martin, where you have the name of the plantation, the name of the enslaved, where that person was born, if they were born in Carriacou, Grenada. And one of the things that I remember was standing out to me on those cards was that the enslaved who were born in Africa, you tend to see at the bottom, they would tell you what markings they have on their bodies.
Okay.
So if they would have their tribal markings, and it would indicate, it will tell you that they're missing a limb. And then you go back to the slave laws. And looking at the slave laws, you would see if you raise your hand to strike a white person, what can happen to you? So if you lost an arm or you lost a leg, it means that you would have attempted to run away. You would have raised your hand to strike a white person. So that is, these information would be on the card. You lost an eye. You were pinched with a hot iron. As a woman, a pregnant woman during slavery, she was not spared punishment. A hole was dug in the ground to protect the assets of the plantation, which was the baby. So her belly would be placed in this hole, and she would be flogged or punished like anybody else. So that's just to show you that when you read these cards and you see what happens, you can see the mulattoes. We know what happened, why we have the mulattoes. We know, so these cards are very, very important by way of educating us as to what amount of slaves came from this plantation, which was the most profitable plantation, and those type. And Carriacou, there were plantations. Carriacou was a plantation. When you see how many of them that was born on the island of Carriacou, you'd be like, really? I thought it was just St. Andrew or St. And the Belfonds. The Belfonds is plantation owners in St. Patrick, and all that information is on the card. Okay. For persons who want additional information, we can share the information that we have to you, the public. You can reach out to us on our Facebook page, it's Grenada Cultural Foundation. You can call us, it's 435-2839. Our mobile number is 415-0621. We would be very happy to share the information that we have.
And that's partly why we wanted to have the young people involved in the panel discussion because we want to encourage them to engage in that history. So it's very important.
Let's entertain our final caller for the morning, and then we get some closing contribution. Caller, good morning, you're welcome.
Yes, good morning, and good morning to your guest there. I'm just asking because Dr. Curtis Jacobs did a very nice paper on emancipation based on not speculation, but actual stories from the newspapers then of how the day was spent. Anybody there is aware of that?
I am familiar with the paper, yes, because Dr. Jacob was an integral part of the foundation some years ago, so that information was shared with us. So yes, I am aware of it. We also, besides having information from Dr. Jacob, we also have information from the museum, from Mr. Angus Martin. He would have recently written some papers that speaks to the slave ships that came in and the importance of the carnage to the slave trade.
I could hardly hear you, but I am asking that question because I believe that some confusion is there with emancipation and carnival, because history, even the Grenada handbook is showing that emancipation was a quiet day, was, all kind of thing. If you picture in modern day, how the people in Carriacou felt after burial, they didn't feel to get up and go and jump up after Beryl beat them up. It's not normal for human beings to, after being enslaved and going through all that, to jump into carnival. History is showing, and there are not many, but one or two Grenadians who went to France to study, and they are understanding our carnival better. But sadly enough, they are not in the front line. For example, Napoleon Bonaparte is known in France as Vico. But when you Google it, it's Vicorps. And it's a corps meaning like the cadet corps and so on. It's a military group. But we hear all kind of confusion coming down the line, and the confusion continues. I am so sorry for our history. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
Caller, before we also have some information that we would have gotten from the Institute of People's Enlightenment, I think it's the organization is called, where you see there's a link between emancipation and carnival. It's a series of information. It speaks to emancipation, it speaks to the slave laws, it speaks to carnival and emancipation, it speaks to the slave revolts, the maroonage. So we also have that information at the foundation, and we can make it available to you.
All right. I would say it was going to be a final caller, but I had this caller on hold for a wee bit. Let's just get their contribution, and then we close off for today. Caller via WhatsApp, good morning, you're welcome.
Yeah, hi. I love the program, and again, we should have all of these things in schools. They need to learn about their history. We need to have it in schools, okay? And that's all I have to say about this.
All right, caller, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I guess final for Donnalyn, final contribution from you this morning?
Just to respond to that caller before my final contribution, I agree. And what I'm going to do, providing permission is given, and I'm sure permission would be given, I am going to share the information we have, the tidbits. That's what we refer to the information. We have the tidbits, even the proclamation. One of the initiatives is the reenactment of the proclamation. Yes. Maybe we can encourage the drama classes within the schools, the drama program within the schools, to do the reenactment, because I remember in convent we did something called Model for Marks as part of our SBA project, where we found dated or period clothes, dated clothes, and we reenacted what the slaves would have worn, what the plantation owners would have worn, and it was a wonderful initiative, because everybody was excited going under their grandmother bed to pull out the first swimsuit. I remember Becky Ferreira found this swimsuit, and it's like, where you get this? Under the mattress. But Ivan took away all those things, but the excitement. So I can see a drama class in a school doing a reenactment so that you could bring home what it is that would have happened during the proclamation, the reading of the proclamation and emancipation. So I would take up that to share as much information that I can with the schools, and hopefully the history teacher would understand the importance of sharing this knowledge.
Of course, and that's also again linked to teaching our own history in schools now, which we now have Nicole Dow's book.
Dr. Dow.
Dr. Dow's book, which was launched last year. That is now being taught, the history of Grenada that's now being taught in schools. And what would be good is to try and link that history lesson with emancipation coming into the Fedon revolution and into Grenada's revolution, independence, all of that. It's all part of our history, and yes, we should be teaching it in schools. Absolutely.
But I certainly hope that everyone who has been listening to the program this morning will come out and be part of the, of course, emancipation celebrations within St. George's and St. Andrew.
And to your caller, your caller who mentioned Dr. Jacobs. Dr. Jacobs will be giving the keynote address at the activity at Spice Basket on the 1st from 5 o'clock. So, madam, if you're listening still, please join us. You're very welcome. Come and say hello to us and see Dr. Jacobs speak.
All right. I mean, it's been an interesting morning. It's the kind of conversation you could have all morning, and I know our listening viewing audience would love to participate and share their views on this, because sometimes there's something passionate when it comes to history. You know, there's always that passionate feeling an individual would have, especially when you talk about history that represents us as a people. Thank you once again for being on the program, and best wishes for the rest of the day, and best wishes also for the Emancipation celebrations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Very much.
Hey, listeners and viewers, that's where we take a wrap for this edition for the week. Join me again next week when we have another edition for you up to the point. Best wishes goes out to everyone who are listening and viewing. Have a wonderful day, what's left of it, and a great weekend to come. That's where I say goodbye. All the best, folks. Goodbye.